Hey there, welcome to another episode of Savor Food and Body. I hope you're all having a good start to the new year, and it's been a minute since we last talked. But I have some exciting new things to share with you today. And as we jump in, I first want to highlight, if you didn't see it already, last week Evelyn Tripoli was doing a really fantastic series on the 10 principles of intuitive eating, and each day she was describing one of the principles in depth in short little videos on her Instagram page and probably Facebook as well. So I want to point that out to you. It can be a really great resource as you start the new year, especially in the face of how loud diet culture is right now. And I also want to invite you to check that out because it'll be helpful for more in-depth information on what I'm going to talk about today. So over the course of doing this work, this intuitive eating counseling work with clients over the years, and through some recent reflection that I've been doing on my own and some course development and all of that good stuff, you've heard me talk about the word savor now for almost a year, over a year almost, on social media platforms. And I've taken it a step further to develop a model for healing your relationship with food and body based on the word savor. So the word savor is actually an acronym for stop, awareness, validate, options, reflect, and release. And these are the steps that I often take clients through in pretty much that order. It can be different for everyone, but for the most part, this is the path that I take when I'm working with clients. And while savor can be applied to not just food, but it can be applied to body image, movement, more of a big picture view of healing your relationship with food and body, it can also be directly applied to intuitive eating. And that's what I wanted to get into more in depth today. So again, go check out Evelyn Tripoli's descriptions of the intuitive eating principles from last week if you didn't catch them, and that will even round out our conversation today a little bit more. So let's dive into what the SAVOR acronym stands for and how it applies to intuitive eating. So the S in SAVOR stands for stop, meaning stop and take a mindful minute. Just take a pause, take a mindful minute, check in with yourself. And this can be a great way to notice any diet culture thoughts and beliefs that are coming into your mind about food and body. And this is really the space where we work to reject the diet mentality, which is one of the first principles of intuitive eating. It's also the space where we work on making peace with food. So when you stop and you can take notice of what thoughts and beliefs are coming up about food in your body, then you can start challenging those. And that's essential to being able to make peace with food. So the A, so moving on down, the A is awareness. And it's awareness, so as you're taking your pause, your mindful minute pause, you're becoming aware of those thoughts and beliefs about food and how they're affecting your relationship with food. You're also becoming aware of any hunger cues. So one of the first few principles of intuitive eating is honor your hunger. You can't honor your subtle hunger cues if you're not aware of what's going on in your body. And it's completely understandable and reasonable if you've been on diets and the on and off diet roller coaster, weight cycling for many, many years. It's going to be really hard in the beginning to find your subtle hunger cues, but you can do it. With time, awareness, pausing, you can find those subtle hunger cues. So the other part about awareness is we might be becoming more aware of what's satisfying to us about food. So what flavors, what textures, tastes, temperatures even, eating environments, all of the above affect our satisfaction with food. We also bring awareness to what's the difference between physical satisfaction, meaning I'm physically full in my body. I can feel the physical sensation of food in my stomach, and satisfaction with pleasure, meaning all my pleasure receptors in my mouth have been lit off because I've enjoyed all of the flavors, textures of the food. So satisfaction is kind of two parts to it, both the physical part and the more pleasurable part of satisfaction. So when you spend time with awareness, you're bringing awareness to all of those sensations in your body. Same thing would be true for feeling your fullness too, another principle of intuitive eating. Feeling your fullness comes from being able to be aware of your body and be in your body. The third piece of SAVOR is validate. So validation is super important on lots of different levels when you're learning to care for yourself with self-compassion. And validating here when it comes to intuitive eating is validating your need for consistent nourishment, consistent, balanced, with lots of variety nourishment, and honoring your need around subtle hunger. So oftentimes when people are starting intuitive eating, and if they've come from a place of restriction, which a lot of folks have, then they start feeling hunger. After some time, they start feeling hunger pretty frequently. And that can freak them out because they think, gosh, I just ate. Why am I hungry again? But validating your body's need for more nourishment, or maybe even a different type of nourishment than you first had, is really important. Validating your needs in general is really important to doing this work. And then onto the O of SAVOR is for options. So options stands for, in relation to intuitive eating, is we're including all the options that we have to feed ourselves, to nourish ourselves in that moment. So this can be tied into emotional eating, which gets a completely bad rap these days, and thanks to diet culture. It's not to say that using food to soothe emotions isn't okay, but it's also leaving space for, if you always only used food to soothe your emotions, you would probably have a stomachache most of the time, and you would still be feeling those difficult emotions. So you'd end up with kind of a double whammy of discomfort. So noticing all the options that you have to take care of yourself in that moment, both from the food perspective, maybe you want to move your body. So another principle of intuitive eating is feel the difference through gentle movement. So feeling the difference in your body when you're able to go move. Does that release some tension, anxiety, stiffness, soreness, all of that? And what type of movement do you enjoy? The R in SAVOR stands for reflect and release. So no matter what you chose to nourish your body in that moment, based on the awareness that you had in your body, no matter what you chose, what action you chose to take, you're reflecting back on how did that serve you at the moment. So both the positives, the negatives. What do you want to do the same next time when a similar situation comes up? What do you want to do different? And you're reflecting with curious compassion, or compassionate curiosity. That's the more fluid way of saying that. So compassionate curiosity is so important to doing this work. And it is trial and error, especially when you've come from a long lineage of diets that told you exactly what to eat and how to think about it and how to feel about it. And now you're learning to do that for yourself for the first time in a really, really long time, since you were a toddler, in fact. So reflecting on these experiences that you have with learning to make peace with foods and rejecting the diet mentality and honoring your emotions with compassion and body respect, making all of these choices that you have in front of you every day from a place of body respect versus body control. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of reflection time. And once you've done that reflection and you've made note of how you want to do it the same or different next time, then release the whole experience. Move on with the rest of your day. There's no failing when it comes to intuitive eating, and there's no failing with SAVOR food and body. So the two go hand in hand with lots of curious, compassion, and helping you develop a more sustainable and empowering relationship with food in your body. So that's a really quick nutshell of the SAVOR model of healing that I use to help folks heal the relationship with food and body, and how the intuitive eating principles fit into that. So again, I invite you to go check out Evelyn Tribole's page for some more in-depth knowledge on the principles themselves. And you can stay tuned here for more descriptions on the idea of SAVOR food and body. So I will see you again next time. Take care.